Thousands of years ago, those who came before us wrote, "When you have eaten and are satisfied, you shall bless." So imagine today in 2018, not having eaten enough, not having been satisfied. How will you possibly find blessings? Please stand up now if you are able. We rededicate ourselves to food justice, and let's join together in calling out the sounds of the shofar. 1, 2, 3, Tekiah. Shavarim teruah. Tekiah. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome Jake Seltman of Grow Pittsburgh, please? Please have a seat.
Shana Tova. It's great to be here, and I feel very grateful to be in front of and with all of you. So when I think about food justice and social justice and equity, and what it means to be with each other and love each other, I think about my family. I think about how many guides and role models I've had, and in fact, I think about many of you that are here, mostly in the central part of the room. I'm also thinking today about my grandfathers, who are both alive and have been role models and guides for me since the day I was born. And so this morning I was with my grandfather B, and he's at Ahava, which is a memory unit. And I was struck by how, as his memories and connections start to slip away, how I just get flooded with so many memories of when he was vital, and I'm just so grateful for the times that I've had with him. And so I want to share one of those stories, which is a tradition that we used to have, B and I, that we would make horseradish together. I don't know if anybody else has made that before. It sounds pretty easy. All you do is take horseradish root and beets in the blender, and then you mix it up. The thing is, when you lift that lid off, it's like cutting 10 times harder than cutting onions. And so we used to lift the lid up, and then I remember with tears running down our eyes, laughing. And so now at every Passover, I think about him, and I feel connected to him, and I'm sure I will forever. And so I imagine that many of you also have stories like this that connect you to your family through food. Even today, as we eat apples and honey, we feel connected to Jews across the world participating in that same tradition. And so I open with this because food is so central to our lives. It's the essential nourishment, it connects all of us, but it also connects us to our history, to our families, to our culture, and to our pride. And so today I stand for food justice because when we are stripped away from our connection to and our access to food, so much of ourselves and our body and our whole being is lost. And so I know there are many ways to stand for food justice, but for me it means growing food. In my personal life and my professional life, I just love to grow food. And I know that growing food can have profound effects on our society, environmental, social, economic, educational realms. And so I stand for food justice by supporting backyard gardeners, community gardeners, urban farmers, and school gardeners. But what exactly is food justice? One way to think about it is kind of breaking it down into three main components. The first is food access. And so we all know that we should all have access to delicious, local, affordable, culturally relevant produce and food, and yet 174,000 people today in our community in Allegheny County are food insecure. And we know that this challenge is disproportionately affecting communities of color and other marginalized communities in Pittsburgh. And so today I stand for food justice and for food access by listening to community members who say that they want to transform a vacant lot into a productive food growing space for their community, and working to remove barriers and helping them realize that vision. So there's food access. And the second piece is sustainable food systems. So we can define that as a collaborative network of food producers, distributors, and consumers that prioritize the environmental, economic, and social well-being of our community. And so when the average meal travels 1,500 to 2,000 miles to get to our plate, and we don't think much about the chemicals that were sprayed on it or the pollution that was necessary to package that produce or food and bring it to our plates, we know that it's not a sustainable food system. And so today I stand for food justice and sustainable food systems by teaching people how to grow food and promoting the benefits that urban farms and local farms and gardens can bring to our neighborhoods. And the third bucket, if we have food access, we have sustainable food systems. We also have farm workers' rights. And so that's ensuring that the people who grow our food, the farm workers, are no longer reliant on food stamps to feed their own families and facing some of the worst working conditions, but rather celebrated, lifted up, and supported in the way that they deserve. And so yesterday, our family stood for food justice as we went to the Squirrel Hill Farmers Market in the rain and introduced our kids to the farmers who were growing our food and celebrated them and felt their gratitude as we connected with our farmers. 5 minutes feels short, so with that, I'm going to allow for you all to talk more. But I wanted to end with a quote, which is from Ron Finley, who's an activist and urban farmer in Los Angeles. And he says that food is the problem and food is the solution. And so I would encourage you all in your small groups today to first ground your conversations by sharing a story about some food tradition or some food that you feel connected to, and then talk about how you can be part of the solution, whether it's addressing food access, sustainable food systems, or farm workers' rights. It can be the smallest thing from eating together or something larger. Thank you.